have to put on this. That's one. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to interrupt the service, but trying to reconnect. Okay, are we live? Yes, welcome to our Halachah Class 16. We have to remember that one Jew at a time, so sometimes we're late. And I'm sorry to my friend over here for the lateness. He was waiting patiently. But welcome everyone. We're here at the Halachah Class. It's being weekly on Thursdays, so maybe perhaps you were waiting for Thursday, but we're doing it tonight because we're all back. We're trying to get back on schedule on Wednesdays. We had a beautiful event on Sunday. For those of you that were there, and for those of you that were not there, hopefully we'll be there next time. We're gonna have, before I continue, not to forget, we have a big Shabbos this Shabbos. Actually, I shouldn't say this on live because then I'm gonna wreck any surprises. But yeah.
Well, it's the 10 utterances.
That's for sure. Yisrael, we're giving the Torah, but don't forget that it's the Shabbos before the Rebbetzin. Hi, Eliza. And don't forget that's the Shabbos before the Rebbetzin Chaim Mushka's Yartzeit. Mm-hmm. It's the Shabbos of the International Conference of Emissaries for Women this week. It starts tomorrow, in fact. Chai is going to be there. So it's a big deal. And we're it's the Shabbos before my wife's birthday.
Oh
my God. She's calling.
Who? My wife?
No, my wife.
Perfect timing.
But I'm very sorry. I'm in the middle of a class. You put it on pause. Actually, you could answer. And it goes on pause. Hello? Yeah, I'm on speaker. Okay, I was delayed. Are you going to be back here? Okay, I could open the door from him, but I don't know if I could do more than that because I'm pushed. I was delayed with the class. I'm actually. Okay, we're actually live here. Yeah, we're actually talking on a live broadcast, so everyone should hear. So yeah, guys, it's exciting tonight. We have excitement here at Chabad. So what do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're live.
How do you pause a broadcast without me having it meaning officially pause? Maybe someone out there could teach me, the tech guy. I'm the tech guy officially, but I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Okay, we're gonna resume. Okay, most people don't watch on YouTube anyway, so yeah, I have to enhance it. As you see, the footage is not great. Okay, yeah. So as we were saying, so it's the Shabbos also before my wife's birthday. Yeah, may she live and be well. So we're going to celebrate. So everyone, please come. Men, women, and children alike. All come to daven, pray, fabring, enjoy, make kiddush together, and hear a nice class, 9:30. Last week, unfortunately, we were not. But therefore, this week we have to make it bigger and better, and especially that it's a special Shabbos. Also, like you mentioned, it's the Shabbos of the reading of the Aseret HaDibrot, the Ten Commandments, Parshas Yisrael. Even if we talk about him and all the specialties about who he was, father-in-law of Moses, and how he converted to Judaism, all the important lessons that we learned from this portion. So please be here on time. Please let us know that you could come. And if you would like to do a kind sponsorship in honor of a loved one, you're welcome to let us know as well. Thank you. Okay, fine. So as we were saying, so we did mention last week a little bit of laws about the tzitzis. We mentioned how certain one of the main things we were talking about is it's not about necessarily what happens to the tzitzis, it's about how it was done originally. So if you made the tzitzis the right way originally, even if afterwards something happened to it, not exactly in the guidelines of it should be, it still keeps it kosher. Okay? There's a certain measurement of how it has to be on the corners. So if it's in that exact framework of the corner that it was originally, if it was made that way originally in the right framework, and then in the right measurement, and then all of a sudden it ended up being out of its measurement, so it's still kosher. But if it ripped off, that's different. Then you don't have the amount of tzitzis you need. So there's different laws how we should go about it. We had diagrams, if you recall, and you're welcome to look back. We have even diagrams here. We depicted and we showed even real live with my own tzitzis how things have to be. But today, so today we're going to speak about the fact that about the laws of when we have a mitzvah, we have a mitzvah of the Torah that teaches us we have to do them, and we say a blessing, and then we do the mitzvah. Why do I think we said this one already? Yeah, we did actually. I was about to read another law that we did last week. It was just the law was telling us how you have to wrap them on your head, around your neck when we wear a talis gadol, a big talis. The way you wear a big talis is that you have to wrap it, when you say the blessing, you have to wrap it around your neck like a hijab, like the wrapping of the Ishmaelim, like the Arabs. Okay. We do not make brachas on tzitzis only at daytime and not at night. And in general, a person should be careful not to make blessings on the tzitzis till it's daytime, that you can see the difference between blue and white. And he's additionally trying to add that it should be so much so daylight. If he wore the talis cotton at night, wore his small tzitzis at night, and he didn't make a blessing on it, or he wore it at night, or he wore it while his hands were not clean, and therefore he didn't make a blessing. So when he puts on the talis gadol, the big talis, he can make a blessing on this talis, also on the talis cotton, also on the small talis. And that's why, as a married man that wears a talis, I don't make a blessing on my small talis, I make a blessing on my big talis for the same reason. So I wore a talis at night. I didn't make a blessing at daytime again, because I'm sufficing with the blessing that I say on my big talis. Misha talis gadol. What if a person doesn't have a talis gadol? Doesn't have one. Person doesn't have a big talis. If he wears the talis cotton again at daytime, and his hands are then clean, then he could say, then he could say, and he says, al mitzvahs, not mitzvahs, al mitzvahs. And if he wears it when he's not allowed to say blessing, when he's not allowed to say a blessing on it, so then when it's daytime and his hands are clean, then he should take the tzitzis in his hands and he should break the bracha on mitzvahs tzitzis. And if he slept with the small talis, so he's basically saying, we said two things. We said he wore the talis cotton at night, and he didn't make a bracha. He wore the small talis and he didn't make a bracha. Or he wore it while his hands weren't clean. So he's saying two things. His hands are, if he's wearing a talis that day and his hands are clean, he can make a bracha on mitzvah tzitzis. But if he was wearing it already when he wasn't allowed to, meaning it was at nighttime still, so then when it becomes day and his hands are clean, he should take the tzitzis in his hand and he should make the bracha of mitzvah tzitzis. And if he slept in a talis cotton, if he slept in a small talis, he shouldn't make a blessing in it at all. But when he swears the big talis, he could have in mind to fulfill the mitzvah with that. If someone begins to pray, while it's still too early to recite the blessing over a talis, he can recite it when the time comes, which is between Yishtabach and the Kaddish that comes after it. And that's also okay. You can say the blessing on it. Mishbura notes, it has become a custom that the blessing made over the talis gadol exempts the talis cotton as well, and therefore a separate blessing is not recited when one puts on the talis gadol. When one puts on both the talis gadol and a talis cotton. And that's the way we actually hold, like we mentioned. So it's not about necessarily, it's not about the fact that, of course, he wasn't able to at night, and therefore at daytime the talis gadol could, meaning he was wearing it at night and he didn't make a bracha. So then at daytime the talis gadol could be pater him, could fulfill the mitzvah. What if he puts on a small talis at daytime? You can make a bracha on it. Okay, so then you might say that then each one should make its own blessing. What about the talis gadol? He doesn't have to make a bracha on the talis gadol because he has a talis cotton. What we said till now basically is, not to get confused, we were talking about till now the fact that a person was wearing it already and he couldn't make a blessing on it. So we're saying at daytime, how are you going to be able to make the blessing if you're wearing it already? Again, you do blessings before you do a mitzvah, right? But he's wearing it already. So take a talis gadol, take a big talis, and on that one make the blessing for it. What if he wasn't wearing it already? And daytime came and he's putting on a talis, cut in a small talis. So he says, then you make a blessing on it. Right? Then you'll make the blessing on it. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
But does that mean that he has to make separate blessings on each talis? Or there's a way out, and that's why he's saying, the Mishnah Berurah is telling us that not only when you wore a talis cut in a small talis, meaning a tzitzis, when you weren't allowed, and you couldn't make a blessing on it, so you need the big talis to make a blessing on it. Not only in those situations, but even in situations where you could make a blessing on the small talis, he should still only do it with one, and he shouldn't use the talis gadol, the big talis, meaning he shouldn't also say a blessing on the big talis and the small talis separately. He's saying when you didn't have the opportunity to make a blessing on the small talis, we say the big talis is needed to be able to make a blessing, and it will fulfill the mitzvah for that one, for the small talis. My wife is going to be here. He just has to, I guess she could come in. I mean, the guy keeps on pushing us off anyway. How are you? I'm in the middle of the class. They keep on pushing us off. Sometime later and later, so we're not available. You can't dismiss my wife will be here. You're very good man, you're pushing me off. So now please understand, I'm going to be on the middle of the class. This is a very, very, very important. It's very important. It's strictly on the flood. Okay? You see, speaking by the front there, that's front back. I didn't realize. I wasn't sure. Thank you. I'm still on. It wasn't supposed. Why you said something? You said, "Oh, this rabbi, he's just one amazing character." What do they call it in the olden days? How would they refer to it? An interesting character, right? Yes. He's an interesting character.
I did have a question though, because
Please ask.
In my siddur and other sidduras, they have both the prayer for the
correct
small talit and the big talit, and they follow one after the other. So why is it in the siddur if you shouldn't do both?
Good question. Because of number one, there's two types of Jews, meaning not two ages of Jews. There's a Jew that's before he's bar mitzvah, at least. Some people at bar mitzvah wear big talis, and many people don't wear it till they're married. Mm-hmm. So still, the guy that's not bar mitzvah or married, he has to just suffice with his small talis. So he has to make a blessing on the small talis. The guy that's married has to suffice with the big talis. So there are ages where you have to do one and not the other.
I've never seen a siddur though that says that, where it says, say the small talit. Now you're about to pull out yours, so let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see if the Chabad siddur says it.
I mean, definitely that's a good enough reason to have both.
Yeah. No,
that you need it one when you're still doing tzitzis only, and when he says like this.
I know mine doesn't have the instructions like this. Sorry, guys, if we're interrupting. But
we're not. Why are we interrupting? We're not interrupting.
This is important.
This is part of the laws. It's part of the.
Yeah, I need.
Every day while dressing before putting on the talis cut and the small fringed garment worn by males, examine the tzitzis fringes and make sure that they are not torn, especially the parts lying in the corners of the oil coils. On weekdays, and we mentioned already in the laws from last time. On weekdays, untangle the threads one from another before reciting the blessing. We mentioned last time when we will learn it. When you hear the class, you'll hear that one who wears the talis gadol, large talis for the morning prayer, should not recite a blessing on the talis katan.
You have
See the laws on page 586.
No, and you got it in your book.
Don't forget that there's laws of the Siddur. The Alter Rebbe also wrote in the Siddur laws, which differ a little bit from the regular laws in the Shulchan Aruch, because it was a different timing. We say that we go according to the.
This is the first Siddur that I've ever
seen. And he says, see more of those laws there, and therefore he already gave it the clear thing that.
No, it's clear. It's clear there. It's not in mine.
And a lot of Siddurim don't write laws within them. I don't think a lot. The Alter Rebbe was known for his siddur. In his siddur, he put laws, and that's why he's mentioning them here.
So this is a plug for the Chabad siddur, guys.
Guys, buy it. It's a good siddur.
It's got the laws in it.
You want to show it to them? Show them the cover of it.
Yeah, you can see the cover. I feel like I'm doing an advertisement for the Chabad, but it has it. This is the first siddur I've ever heard of it. Has the description of it for both the big and the small talit.
Thank you, Herb. Free advertising. We'll pay you. Don't worry. We're gonna put it on the bill. So that's that. But
right.
But his point is that we thought at times when only he was already wearing the talis,
right,
and therefore the small talis he can't make a blessing on it. So we need the talis gadol. So we need only the talis gadol. He's telling us that even when he could make a blessing on the small talis. Even though when you didn't wear it all night, even when you're now for the first time putting it on day. Many people don't wear it at night. Even then, you should let talis gadol suffice. And that's what you're seeing in our siddur that it says.
Right.
And that's what he says also. It's not just the Alter Rebbe. It's not just our siddur. The Mishnah Brura, the Chafetz Chaim notes that it has become the custom that the blessing made over the talis gadol exempts the talis katan.
I have to change what I'm doing now.
Exempts the talis as well, and therefore separate blessing is not recited. One puts on the talis gadol and the talis katan. You don't have two. Talis gadol exempts the talis katan. When you put on the tzitzis in the morning and you're still putting on your talis, your big talis as a married man or as a bar mitzvah boy, don't bless the small talis, and perhaps it's a blessing in vain. Okay?
We learned earlier not to do that, not to make blessings in vain.
God forbid. Okay. Just by the way, we want to welcome back my partner in crime, my learning
Crime is a good way of putting it. Yes.
My learning partner. Sorry, I didn't mean it in that way. From Spain. He'll tell us more about it. Also, if you come on Shabbos, you'll hear more about it. Even I don't know what happened over there. We'll find out soon. If I was in Spain, I would be probably on Facebook already. Every moment, live Facebook posts.
My wife has a lot of those.
You think she does have a
lot of video.
She has a lot of video. Yeah. Wow. I think the guy's blowing up our kitchen now. Okay. You know, like when they built the new bridge in, what is it called? The Verrazano? What was it? Yeah. They blew up part of it because they had to build. Never heard of such a thing. You blow up a bridge to do construction. Say polluting the water is okay. Whatever. Confusing. Anyone have answers for that? I know it has nothing to do with the lesson, but anyway, let's go on.
We digress.
Okay. Okay, so what are we saying? Anyway, so he says, if he slept with the small talis, he shouldn't make a blessing on it afterwards. And he could put on a new talis. Not the one that he slept with, and there's a way. So, you see, we sleep with our talis, a small talis. That's it. It's making noise. We sleep with our small talis. A lot of people don't. So for us, it's considered this law, like he's saying, if you slept with a small talis, you can't make a blessing on it once you slept in it.
Yeah, because it's not, you're not putting it on.
So he can't put on. So he has to put on. I have to put on a new talis if I slept with my talis. If I didn't sleep with my talis, it's like a day talis, and then you can make a blessing, meaning my tzitzis. But
you're not putting on the day.
For example, right? But now my question is now, how do I, if I slept in my small talis, what am I doing? So you could say, fine, so I am married, so it's easy. I just go from my big talis. But guess what? It's not so simple. You see, he's telling you could be pater, you could be exempt on the big talis with this other talis that he slept with. But let's say let's say that works, and even that I would probably look into more and see more into it, because if it's exempting it, it means it's actually fulfilling the mitzvah. But if you slept in it, why was it helping?
Exactly.
So it's an interesting question, but at the same time, don't forget, and it's like the same thing that you asked. Why does it say 2 blessings in the siddur? What if I'm not married? What am I going to do now that I slept in this small talis? How am I going to make it? So there is actually laws how you have to do it. Your day talis and your night talis, and you have to switch between the two, and you have to make sure that your night talis doesn't become your day talis, and your day talis doesn't become your night talis.
It's very similar to what I do. I have a Shabbat talit.
For example.
I have a weekday talit.
Right.
Because I want to be able to fold my talit on Shabbat. I can't do it if I use my weekday. You can't fold on Shabbat.
It's nice to see that also. It's an interesting thing, being that we're talking about talises. It's nice to see that you should mention that. A lot of people, they go in synagogue. I try not to offend them in public, but they're folding the talis. You see here at the Chabad, people after prayers, they're folding up the talis. It's actually a forbidden law to fold. You're not allowed to fold on Shabbos. Right. Period. They're folding their talis. It's very common in Orthodox shuls even. Forget about
I see it all.
forget about reform, conservative, whatever. They're all good Jews. No offense and no labels over here. But the point is even in our own circles, religious circles, where people are trying to be observant, it's not normal how people don't know. And it's important that we should bring that awareness, and it's probably my obligation to say it more and not to be scared to say it. And the same way people are putting on also their talis wrong. And I mentioned it last time. That they're putting on the talis as a scarf. There's a way to put on the talis, like we said. There's a way, number one, to say the blessing on the talis, like the hijab, like the way the Arabs wear their talis, wear their scarves. What do we call them? Right, the hijab. Like I said, it's meant to be like this and like this around your neck. That's how you meant to say the blessing. It says ka'atif asayishmeim. That's number one. But then thereafter, when you're putting it on, when you're wearing it, you're meant to be wearing it all over. It should be surrounded you. It's a talis. That's what a talis is all about.
We actually talk about surrounding light. You're using the prayer shawl to gather light. How can you gather it if it's not surrounding you?
It's nice and mystical.
Well,
no, you're right.
I know what it's for.
No, 100%. Listen, the talis is. Let's put it this way: for Chassidim, the talis is a great way. In fact, we had the songs from Inspired Soul. So one of the parts was what it was incorporating was in this event was, we didn't advertise it, but it just came with it, was before every orchestral performance of that nigun, of that song, there was a background to the song. What is it about? So these aren't just songs. Darkecha Elokeinu, these are songs the Rebbe taught us, beautiful songs from quotes from Tehillim, even from Psalms. These aren't made up words. These are words that we see in the Torah and in Siddur and wherever it is. But the tune, what's the tune? What is it, a resemblance of the soul? What type of, every tune has its different, brings an awakening from the soul in a different way, right? So there was a whole background, deep meaning to the song that they were explaining in this video footage. That we watched the video, there was like a big projection, beautifully done. And at one point, it was about a chassid in shul, in synagogue, Yom Kippur, praying so long with his towels over his head that he's still fasting, and it's a day later. Wow. That's how crazy. That's how immersed he was. What was he praying with? With this nigun, with this song, Darkecha Elokeinu, or something like that. I forget for me it was beautiful.
It's funny you mentioned Yom Kippur. Erev Yom Kippur is the only time we wear talit at night.
Correct. Now this was his talis from probably the daytime, right. Even though you're right about the night, and that's another interesting thing, that on Yom Kippur, yes, you wear a talis at night too, and you meant to make a blessing before it becomes the sundown, so you could say a blessing, because at night, again, we said we don't say blessings. So what did I want to say about the talis? You see, you're mentioning something interesting about the talis, but for a chassid, what was a talis? Talis was a way for him to meditate. Mm-hmm. And to the extent he was in such a awakening, and such an arousement, and such a excitement, and such a closeness to God with these songs that he was humming to himself while he was davening, while deep in prayer, that the whole synagogue left already, and he's still sitting there and enjoying God's ray, basically just close with God, and doesn't even need to eat. So a talis for some of us was that type of thing where you could just put the talis over your head. And no one has to be ashamed to do that. We think we're wearing a talis, we have to be like everyone else. Oh, so if we're cool, we wear it like a prayer shawl, like a scarf. But if we're not so cool, so then we wear it around our neck. And maybe we'll make it all nicely tied up and tucked in and whatever. And if we're really not cool, we'll have it flying everywhere, right? And if we're really, really not cool, we're going to put it over our head. Or like the rabbi does a lot of times, he'll put it over his head. You still see his eyes. Maybe he's still cool. As long as he's not putting it all the way over. I'm joking. The point is that we have to remember, what is the talis? What is the talis?
What purpose does it serve? That's the question.
Exactly. What is the purpose? So, what you're saying is very mystical and special. And what a lot of Chassidim used to use the talis was a way to not be distracted. Mm-hmm. And of course, we know what a talis is. What is tzitzis? We mentioned in the first laws of tzitzis. Tzitzis is there to connect us with Hashem, to remember His mitzvahs, and be focused. Mm-hmm. And that's what the talis is trying to do, is keep us focused, whether we put it over our head that way or whatever it is. But definitely, we have to use it that way. And by using it less than what it's meant for, meaning as a prayer, as a scarf around our neck, On that note, there was a Nordstrom was selling the exact patterns of the talus as a scarf. I think they took it off the shelf because they said it was like anti-Semitic.
Yeah, it is.
Even though I'm not here to justify what they did and say they're great and then they meant well. Maybe it was a nice pattern. They thought it was a cute pattern. I don't know. Either way, it was proclaimed as probably people who know better these things probably realized it was anti-Semitic, and it was pulled off the shelves, and they respected. I think they even took them off right away. It was like a mistake, whatever it was. But it was just funny. Like it was the exact patterns. But what was it? It was as a scarf. They were selling it as a scarf. Sometimes our very own people that are observing and trying to go to shul and do the right thing, they're wearing their talus like a scarf. We have to remember talus is not a scarf. And there's a way to wear it, and it should be over your shoulders, and that's why it's a talus. That's why it's meant to be big. You don't have to buy these little scrawny, little dinky, taluses. They're meant to be broad and big. Obviously not too big that they're all over the floor, but they have to be big enough that you could wrap them over your shoulders, like the proper way to wear it, where you need to put it over your head a little bit. And it's dragging, it's not dragging, but it's flowing behind you, as long as it's not dragging on the floor. So that's the thing with the talus, and it's important that if you see people that are wearing it a certain way and you know the right way it should be done, then you should let them know. So that's that. Who spreads out his tie, he takes off his talus, and his intention is he's going to put it on right away again. Even if he went to the bathroom, when he puts it back on, he shouldn't make a blessing again on it. Because why? Because technically the halacha is that mutar lechas be'lo he's one is allowed even to go with the talus into the bathroom. And therefore, it's not considered a hefsek. Yeah, it's like your talus. Like I'm not taking off my tzitzis because I'm going into the bathroom.
No,
right? It's one of those things that we say the kedusha or that the concept, like we say by tefillin, doesn't have in a talus. It's more as a reminder than anything, and therefore, he's allowed to even consider that. He shouldn't go with it into the bathroom after all, anyway, because it's not respectful. But he shouldn't consider that as a hefsek, as an interruption that he has to make a new bracha. But if he had in mind not to wear it right away, and then he changed his mind, and then he wore it right away, meaning he took it off, he didn't have in mind to wear it right away, and then he changed his mind, and he went and put it on right away because of that interruption that he made in his mind. Even though he put it on right away, so he has to make the bracha. He has to make the blessing again. Yeah. What if a person's talus falls off him without intentionally? Our taluses, they have these new talisim today, and they're not so new anymore, but they stick. They don't have actual sticky stuff. It's the material. It's a wool, but it's a wool with patterns in it that makes it more doesn't flip off you. Yeah, to buy that type, and they have it by all types of taluses, not only Chabad, all the types, any type you want, meaning the companies, Keter, whatever they're called, all those famous companies that make all the taluses for all types, for all customs, they make them like that they don't slip off you, because for generations, we're wearing taluses. I have, in fact, because it's cheaper that way, I have one of those taluses that they slip off me, and without me realizing, all of a sudden I see it's off my shoulder. Slipped off. All the taluses we have are pretty much those types. It's a standard talus like we all would wear. But they have the new type that doesn't slip off, because he's saying what happens if talus, without looking to, doesn't mean to let it slip off. And if it slipped off, if a little part of it is still on, he's saying, even as long as a little part of it has remained on his body, some of it still is on him, even though a little bit of it fell off, because some of it is still there, and what we call part of the mitzvah is still on him, and he doesn't have to go back and make a blessing. But if the whole thing fell off onto the ground while he's wearing it, even though he holds it, he catches it in his hand, or he still held on to it in his hand, because even a part of the mitzvah is not on his body anymore, Because the fact that he's holding it in his hand is not considered by being the remaining part of the mitzvah. So the fact that he's holding it in his hand after the whole thing fell off, it doesn't help, because it has to be on his body. El is atif begufa, but it has to be on his body. Lochein, therefore he has to make a blessing again when he puts it on, because it totally was removed from him. And again, because he didn't have in mind. So it's not about because he had in mind. It's because he didn't have in mind. Because if he had in mind, at least you could say he had intentionally taken it off because he's planning on putting it back on. But where he doesn't have that intention, so the whole mitzvah fell off him, so it fell off him. Whereas if he had intention to take it off to put it back on, so it was still going to go be back on. So it's like it's a continuation.
But you're making an interesting point. Intent is the most important thing
Yes.
in terms of doing a mitzvah.
Exactly.
What's your intent?
Yes.
Because I learned, I don't know if it's true or not, if you don't have any intention, it's really not a mitzvah.
But we still say that mitzvahs
Yes.
are still considered mitzvahs without the kavanah.
Yes.
The action speaks louder than words. Action speaks louder than mind. Etc. All these things, because the action is what counts. Of course, there are certain mitzvahs that have with them intention, especially like Shema Yisrael, Krishma, and certain mitzvahs, and putting on the tefillin. There's a whole way when you're putting on the tefillin, you're saying the blessings you're meant to have in mind. Shitivanu, that he commanded us to put on tefillin. They have the 4 parshias, the four sections. And what are they doing? What are the sections talk about? Sanctifying of God's name. Sorry, the unity of God's name and going out of Egypt. All these things you meant to think about while you're putting on tefillin. So of course every mitzvah. But what if a guy doesn't think about this, or a guy that put on tefillin his whole life and just puts it on because that's what his father did? Yeah, sometimes, even though he's taught to have that mindset.
As you would say, he's holding it at a different level, but he's doing the most basic part of the mitzvah.
Still did the mitzvah. So we have to remember that also. But of course, you're right that intent is very important and fundamental. Like we see here, it's going to make a difference if it misses a blessing or not. True. And what does he say further? And therefore he says, he has to make a blessing again when he puts it back on, when the whole thing fell off. What if it happened in the middle of his prayers, where he's not allowed to interrupt? Like Shemona Esrei, like the silent prayer. He shouldn't make a blessing then. He should put the towels back on immediately. But if the whole thing fell off him, and we say in that case he has to make a blessing, he shouldn't make the blessing then. But he should rather wait until he's able to say the blessing. So right afterwards he would say the blessing. And what would he do to say the blessing? What is he going to have to do? Because it's already on him now, he's going to hold it in his hand and make the blessing. We'd like to thank you all for watching. This is Rabbi Mendy Hecht of Chabad Forest Hills North. Hi, Scott. Thank you for watching. And this machine over here is doing wonders, right?
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Isn't it impressive?
Great.
You hear? It's impressive. That's what they say here. I have witness, you see? So Scott and Liz, thank you very much. And thanks for watching.
We've got multimedia going on.
We have a lot of multimedia. Now we just have to enhance our YouTube channel. It needs a little bit of enhancement over here. We're gonna work on that one. And we already have also, I want to mention, once we're at it, we already have our library on YouTube. All our videos are being uploaded to YouTube, besides what you see on Facebook, and everything has sections, and it's really nice. So you can watch everything based on, it has playlists. We're trying to keep things organized. The whole library, whole multimedia library of classes, it's all organized there, and everything is there, at least from a certain stage, from when we started doing, at least when we're talking about the live broadcasts, everything is there from when we started going live on YouTube. And all the saved videos, what we call videos that were not live, are also being uploaded there. Not to forget also that we have 5 on 5 with the Rabbi. I don't know if anyone has started watching them. It's already our second segment, episode. We have our 3rd one coming this week. I'm going to have it hopefully earlier than last week. And it's really nice. A lot of great feedback. People are enjoying it. It's a Shabbos table takeaway. Gives you just a punchline about Shabbos in 5 minutes. We try to make it 5 or less minutes, and it's really something you could take away that you go with to your Shabbos table and bring. You could spice it up if you want. You could do whatever you want with it. The point is there, and then you could go even make buildings upon it, which is nice, especially if you have time at a Shabbos table. But the point is that you got the point.
Well, the point is the portion of Yitzhak. There's so much in here.
Right. So we're gonna have to try in the 5 minutes. We're gonna have to try to throw everything in with one punchline that encompasses everything, and everyone could expound on it. And everyone, if anyone has suggestions, and anyone has any more,
My suggestion is you only name the portion after someone very important. Yitro was the third advisor to Pharaoh. How did he get named? I think that, and the portion answers it. That's the beauty of the portion. It explains why is a portion named after Yitro. So maybe that's something you can address. To me, the 10 utterances are easy, but I think Yitro is the main character.
Okay, so that's it. So now sort of
you're throwing down the gauntlet.
You're cornering me over here, and now I have expectations. Okay, so very good. No, it's important. So now I'm gonna look into it more. I'm gonna see more what I could talk about it. He's right. Herb, there's a lot to say about Yisro. He teaches us a lot. Teaches us a lot of commitment, and a lot of people today also that are interested in converting to Judaism. We learn a lot from Yisro. I think Yisro is the guy. So. So the seriousness and how he was a total opposite of that.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it.
And that is the way it has to be. And if a person is coming that way to Judaism, then of course there's what to talk about. Mm-hmm. But if people are playing around, which sometimes we see, or more than sometimes in today's day and age, we want to preserve the Jewish nation. We want to make the Jewish nation bigger. But there are requirements. So we have to know how to channel it, and know, as rabbis, we have to be careful how we go about it, and the people who are interested in it have to be honest. And definitely, if we look at Yisro, that's a good way for those that are interested or not even interested, even those that are already Jewish. But there's every person on their level have that what we call conversion, becoming closer to Hashem. Right. Whether it's a Baal Tshuva or a person who's striving to be better. That's what Yisro is teaching, and that's what Yisro is teaching us. Right. It doesn't have to be necessarily from a non-Jew to Jew. So I think for all of us, we can learn a lot from Yisro, and I think there's what to speak about, and stay tuned. Yes, hopefully we'll have something nice to say about Yisro this week in 5 on Friday with the Rabbi. Thank you all for watching. Have a great Shabbos. It's already Wednesday. And like I said, the Shabbos is very special for many reasons. So if you could come and join us, that would be great. And if you can't, remember to celebrate the Shabbos before the Rebbitzin of the Rebbe. Who was a very modest woman, taught us a lot about modesty and a lot about commitment to the Chassidim, how she saw the Rebbe's purpose and what he was trying to do. And as much as he wasn't able to be home with her, she was all there and backing the Rebbe for all the beautiful things he was doing. And she saw the inner purpose of all that. And that's why when it came to the court case, unfortunately, with the books that were stolen, she said that the books and the Rebbe and the books belong to the Chassidim. To say that as a wife of the Rebbe, she must have been, she was someone very, very special and deep and she was very bright, very smart, very witty. Like they talk about different things, the way she was came when she brought up conversations and even personal interactions with people, the high buys type of thing, or people that worked in the house, the way she responded to them.
Well, the way you describe it, she reminds me of Rabbi Akiva's life, who saw so much in Akiva that he didn't see it himself.
Right. That's just a special way of looking at it. And the Rebbe, the way the Rebbe spoke about her, and the modesty, like we say, the modesty of how she was never seen to the eye. You'd never see her in public. Unlike other Rebbitzins. The Rebbe's mother was, for example, the total opposite. She was so out there. She was so, all the bubbies and Zaydis were able to talk to her on Eastern Parkway. They would sit on the bench together. Whereas Rebbitzin Chaim Mushka was the opposite, was the Hatzne Halech, is what we call it. Of course, all the Rebbitzins were modest, but she epitomized, she emphasized the modesty and the concept of she really with true what we call kingship, like a true Bas Yisrael, daughter of Israel, a true queen of queen to the king, she would, however, be noticeable at certain times, but very rarely, and it was all for the Rebbe, all to be there for the Rebbe. We have more stories. Maybe we'll say it on a different occasion in honor of her passing, because my aunt was married Rabbi Hananias is Sinai David Halberstam. He worked in the house of the Rebbe.
Wow.
He was like the one that gave her food and everything,
Right.
took care of her in the home. Very, very special interactions there. And because of that, my aunt also was there very often. The kids, my cousins, would come there after school. And the Rebbe, they had interactions. Both, she was like taking care of the kids, my cousins.
Mhm.
And then when the Rebbe would come home, he would be there and he would take them on his lap. Very, very special thing. So there's a lot of more stories that we could talk about. I'm not going to hold anyone now anymore because it's late. But if you want to hear more stories, come on Shabbos and let us know that you could make the minyan with us. And anyone who would like to be a kind sponsor, let us know for the Kiddush, as well as dedications we're taking for 5 on 5 with the Rabbi too. Each week we will be noting an honor if someone wants to honor someone or dedicate that week's to someone special. We have already 1 or 2 lined up already in the next weeks. This week itself, we still don't have someone. If you want to do something in honor of someone special, you're welcome to. This is what's amazing about also 5 on Friday with the Rabbi is that you could spread it and share it. It's going to be both on all social media platforms and on WhatsApp. So it's going to be the raw footage basically you could share with people. So please spread the light. That's the purpose. And thank you again for watching and have a Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, fine.